What's going on, y'all? So look, last night I was in heaven. Why? Because the NBA is back. NBA basketball is back once again, and we can get close to some type of normalcy. Close to some normalcy. It's not going to be the exact same. The game wasn't exact same watching it because I'm used to seeing the crowd roaring, whether it's a Clippers crowd or a Lakers crowd. I'm used to seeing somebody in the crowd and like feeding off of the crowd energy, right? But even though the crowd wasn't there, it still didn't feel like a rec league game or a YMCA game. It still felt like a professional NBA game, and it still didn't take away from my excitement at all. Like, them boys was out there playing. They was out there getting to it, and they were trying to make a statement with this, like, opening game from all the, the COVID. They had the little break for COVID, and they're trying to make a statement. And guys are really trying to say that, hey, look, we here, and we want to win this championship, right? Now, look. In this game, the Lakers, I'm talking about my boy LeBron James and the LA Lakers, they took on the Clippers and they edged the Clippers out by a score of 103 to 101. And this was a very, very close game. I'm going to say this. Y'all know LeBron is my boy. LeBron did not play well last night. He didn't. He did not play well. He shot absolutely horrible. 6 of 19 from the field, which is 31% shooting, which is abysmal. And that cannot be like a normal for LeBron James going forward. We all know that the Clippers are able to guard LeBron James pretty well. They're able to, knock him off of rhythm sometimes, but he still got to he can't, like, on a regular basis, he can't score only 16 points and win, but we know, like, I don't think LeBron James is going to have a series where he just got multiple games where it's under 20 points. He's going to find a way to be effective and score the ball, even when guys are, like, defending him very well. Yet and still, I'm going to say this. He did not shoot the ball well, but he played some very, very good defense, especially on that final possession. After LeBron James, because with 12 seconds left, LeBron went up for a horrible shot. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, damn, why did he shoot that? It looked like he was trying to draw the foul, and he didn't get the foul. When he didn't hear a whistle called, he went and followed up and got his rebound because nobody on the Clippers boxed out, and he laid it right back up, right? I'm like, oh my God, man, come on, bro. Like, it wasn't a good shot at all, but he redeemed himself, right? So after that, on the final possession, LeBron James proceeded to lock up Kawhi Leonard and Paul George to seal the deal and get the win, which is a great, like, that's a great sign, because even when LeBron is not playing well offensively, he has to be engaged defensively against these two guys that can go off and score. Paul George and Kawhi Leonard can both explode for 40 or 50. We know that they are just that lethal. So you got to have your star player, LeBron James, engaged defensively to try to make a difference and to alter those shots so those guys won't get off. And that's something that he did. He was locked down on that last possession. I'm like, damn, it reminded me of when Kevin Love was locking up, how Kevin Love iced up Steph Curry in that 2016 NBA Finals Game 7. Like, he was locking them boys up. And that, I was like, yes, that's a great sign going forward, because last season LeBron wasn't so engaged defensively, and I think now he knows he's been able to rest as well, but he knows, like, he's going to have to do that to edge this team out. LeBron finished the game with 16 points, 11 rebounds, and 7 assists. The star of this game, though, was Anthony Davis. And I'm telling y'all right now, that young man from the south side of Chicago, Illinois, from my way, he is a problem. He is an absolute problem, because the LA Clippers have no answer for him. There's nobody that they have that can stop Anthony Davis. Even if Montrezl Harrell were to come back, he cannot deal with AD like that. You know what I'm saying? He could be physical and can be more aggressive with him and so on and so forth. And Montrezl is a very good player. I'm not taking that away from him. But we know he not Anthony Davis. We know that, and we know what AD is capable of. Not only is he able to score on the inside, he's able to he's able to dominate in the paint. He's able to get to the free throw line, but he can also stretch the floor with his shooting. And it was a time in that third quarter when he hit back-to-back threes, which was a big momentum boost for the Lakers going forward. I'm like, damn, because at one point the Clippers was on a roll. Paul George and them coming down, knocking down three after three, knocking down shot after shot, and I'm like, damn, because Paul, like, let's be real, Paul George can, like, them boys can hoop. They can hoop for real. And Paul George always had these good games when they play in the Lakers. He always seemed to explode and hit threes at the right time. He get hot at the right time to alleviate or try to curb a Lakers run. All the time he played them, he'd get hot at the right time and curb the Lakers run. So, he played well. He had 30. He finished with 30 points, 3 assists, and 5 rebounds. Kawhi Leonard had 28 points, 4 assists, and 3 rebounds as well, right? So the Clippers star players played well. I think Kawhi and Paul played better than LeBron James. We all can say that, right? But again, the person who will make the absolute difference in these games will be Anthony Davis. He will be the difference maker. And AD has to dominate. He has, because them boys, they can't do nothing with him. And he has to impose his will for the LA Lakers to come out on top. This series, when they play each other in the playoffs, it's going to be neck and neck. It's going to go down to the wire. It's going to go down to Game 7 and may come down to the final possession. That's how close I think these teams are. Yes, the Clippers are more stacked. They have more depth to their team. I'm not arguing or disputing that. They got guys like, that's why I said, even though Montrezl and Lou Will wasn't there, Reggie Jackson can come off the bench and give you 15 or 20 when he want to get hot. Pat Bev a starter, but he can give you 14 on a good night, 14 or 15 possibly. That's really on a good night. But you know, you got JaMychal Green who can shoot and stretch the floor. Like, you got a lot of different players that can step up. So they have a deep team. But again, AD will be the difference maker. Him and Kyle Kuzma. Kyle Kuzma had 16.7 rebounds and 2 assists. I don't know if I read Anthony Davis' stat line. I may have, but AD had 34 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists, right? Also, what really was something that I noticed last night was that Dion Waiters can be a very significant, he can be a super significant player for this Lakers team, man. He can really make a difference. For him to, like, he ain't played in a while, and he had 11 points, 2 assists, and 3 rebounds, he had some very good shots where they was going on that run. I'm looking like Dion can really, like, he can really be proved to be a great addition for this team because you had Avery Bradley go out, you had Rondo is out now, so we need, like, the Lakers need guys who can create their own shot. Dion Waiters and J.R. Smith are both guys that can create their own shot. Kyle Kuzma is too. So usually we have guys who play with LeBron. Outside of one guy, other guys can't get their own shot. J.R. Smith can get his own shot, even though he's not the J.R. Smith of old, but he can still be streaky and score, as we saw in the exhibition game when he had 21. J.R. can get his own shot, Dion can get his own shot, and Kyle Kuzma can get his own shot too, which is something that bodes well for the Lakers team, right? But this is the thing too. After the game, right? Because I'm gonna just read this too. The Lakers were 11 of 36 from 3, 30% from 3. The Clippers were 16 of 36 from 3, which is 44%. The Clippers edged the Lakers out in the three-point shooting. The Lakers shot 39% from the field. The Clippers shot 43% from the field. The Lakers had 16 turnovers compared to the Clippers' 20 turnovers, which is, I think, made the difference. The Clippers were turning the ball over entirely too much. The Lakers started to turn the ball over too and get sloppy with it. LeBron in particular was getting sloppy. But, excuse me, the Clippers, they turned the ball over too much, which really cost them in the end, right? And another thing, too. I'm just tired of people making the Lakers win seem like a loss. Like, every time the Lakers win and it's a close game, people just be bringing up who was missing and all. Yeah, the Lakers won, but they didn't have this guy and that guy. Man, listen. The Lakers had both of their star players. They had Paul George and they had Kawhi Leonard. That should be enough. But I'm going to tell y'all one thing. If LeBron James and Anthony Davis is on the court, ain't nobody giving LeBron no excuses if he didn't have Kyle Kuzma, if he didn't have Dion Waiters, if he didn't have Avery Bradley. Nobody giving them the excuse for that at all. They don't have Rondo. They don't have Caruso. Nobody giving them type of excuses. Or they don't have Dwight Howard. They gonna look at it like, hey, y'all got the best players, y'all two best players, y'all should be able to win. So the Clippers still should have been able to win in spite of not having Montrezl Harrell and Lou Williams. That's just extra frosting on the cake for them. They had their two-star players, they should have been able to close out, right? So people bringing up that the Clippers were missing Montrezl and Lou Williams, I ain't trying to hear that, because whenever LeBron loses without key players, it's always LeBron should be still able to win the game in spite of missing players, if he the best player in the league, right? And if I'm not mistaken, many of the basketball talking heads and the pundits and all of that, they consider Kawhi Leonard to be the best player in the league. And I know a lot of y'all who watch my channel consider Kawhi to be the best player in the league. I ain't gonna get mad at y'all, but I feel otherwise. You know what I'm saying? I'm rolling with my boy LeBron James 2-3, right? But you know, it's just like y'all, many people consider Kawhi to be the best player in the league, but he get all these excuses when people missing on his roster, right? But if LeBron missing folks, they tell me we don't need to make no excuses for LeBron. He the king. If he the king, he supposed to get it done regardless. So if Kawhi Leonard is the best player in the league, he's supposed to get that job done and seal the deal regardless, right? And like I said, it wasn't like Kawhi Leonard was missing his second in command. He wasn't missing his second best player. Paul George was right there with him, and he outscored him by 2 points. Paul George was hooping. So Kawhi and the Clippers still could have won that game, right? We always talk about how deep the Clippers roster is, and, but because they were missing 2 players, we shouldn't make much of the Lakers win because they were undermanned. Like, come on, bro, for real? So you telling me the Clippers need a full roster to win? They need their absolute full roster to win a game against the Lakers. I don't get that. I really don't. Because LeBron and the Lakers, they don't get them excuses. LeBron don't get them excuses at all. And two, I noticed this, right? People always want the Lakers to have this perfect game in order to convince people that they're a good team with championship possibilities, right? They want to, in order to convince people that they're a good team with a chance to win the chip, they got to play this perfect game. People feel like if the Lakers don't dominate from start to finish, then they're not good enough to win a championship, right? But last time I checked, a win is a win, regardless of how, I don't care how ugly it looked. A win is a win. No team is ever going to dominate every single time they play. That's never going to happen, right? It's been teams that won series and championships off, they won them off like 1 point or a miss free throw. I seen Super Bowl teams win off of field goals and so on and so forth. It could be an ugly game, right? The Patriots then won off some ugly ass games in the Super Bowl, won by field goals and all of that, or won by an interception in the field goal, and the game was super, super close. And nobody say, oh, well, they only won by this and that, or we seen NBA championships won off game winners, right? And the team probably didn't dominate from start to finish, but nonetheless, they still won the game. Or they still won the championship. So it don't matter, right? I don't want to hear people trying to downplay the Lakers win because it wasn't pretty or because the Clippers were missing 2 players. Like, come on, man, get up out of here, man. Have we forgotten that back in March, the Lakers beat the Clippers with all their guys, all their guns, all the Clippers guns was on the court. All the Clippers guns played that game. I had all the guns loaded and locked. The gun was smoking hot that game, and the Lakers still found out a way to beat that team. Now, nonetheless, Avery Bradley was there, and he had crazy. He hit like 6 threes or something that game. But nonetheless, man, the Lakers still found out a way to win that game, man. Despite the win being ugly, if anything, this made the Lakers seem more legit than what I once thought in my eyes, because LeBron did not play well. He shot terribly, but the Lakers still won in spite of all of that. They still figured out a way to win the game, a way to close out, and other guys got involved. How many times we've been on teams before, like LeBron been on teams, and we always question who else can score outside of LeBron and the other player, one other guy. Who else can come forward and step up every single night? I believe that going forward, Dion Waiters will. Now look, Dion can shoot you out of games. He can be streaky, but when he hot, he hot. I think he's gonna win some games for the Lakers in the postseason. 1 or 2 games he's gonna win for sure for the Lakers. I think J.R. Smith can prove to do the same thing. I know a lot of people thinking like, oh my God, J.R. Smith is such a bonehead for the play that happened when they were playing Golden State in 2018. They question it. Is he reliable? Is he back for real? Is he really going to be on his job? Is he the same? I think that J.R. can win a game or 2 for the Lakers as well, right? Kyle Kuzma can step up. You got different guys that can come out and provide some things for the Lakers. Dwight Howard can come and provide some great minutes, some great defense, some great putbacks. So I think that, they have guys who can step up. So that will make a difference, with this team. I really think it's assembled pretty well, man. Now, we all know Dion Waiters and J.R. Smith are not the defenders that Avery Bradley was, even though, Dion and J.R. are taller than him. We know they're not the defensive dogs that Avery Bradley is, but at the same time, I feel like they can provide things offensively that can help to alleviate the stresses of a LeBron James and an Anthony Davis. Now, AD and LeBron still got to ball out because we know Kawhi and Paul George are coming. Kawhi is the damn Terminator. Talk robotic as hell, but he coming out trying to end you. Paul George trying to end folks too. It's like it's going to be neck and neck. But I still think the Lakers have a great chance, and I'm still rolling with my boy LeBron and the Lakers all the way, right? And let's talk about this great defense that LeBron James played. Because, again, even though he didn't shoot well, we got to acknowledge the excellent defense he played last night. Because when LeBron was guarding Kawhi and Paul George, they scored a grand total. They scored a grand total of 1 point when LeBron James was guarding either one of them. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George scored a grand total of 1 point when LeBron James was guarding either one of them. So that let me know, man. Hey, LeBron, he turned up that defense. He heard y'all saying he don't play D no more, and he just like he out here like James Harden, and he proved that he can still play defense and engage. You know what I'm saying? He just got to pace himself because he's older now. But you know, I'm still rolling with my dog. Look, man, this is going to be a great series in the playoffs. I'm rubbing my hands like Birdman, ready to see this in the series in the playoffs. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting rest of the NBA season. I'm waiting. I'm ready to see what happened. I think this series is going to go to 7 games, and it's going to come down to the wire. You know what I mean? But I'm rolling with the LA Lakers, man. Machiavelli Mills TV, thank y'all for rocking with me. Peace.